Hey guys, I'm back with another video, and yes, so today we have another Bath & Body Works haul. It was the 40% off sale, so I went in yesterday to see if I could snag some juiciness, and I was, so we'll haul that right now. Pretty much it's like all the new stuff that's coming up in the next floor set, such as the Caramelized Lavender, which I was super stoked to get, Platinum, Cookie Butter Truffle, and all that kind of stuff, so we'll get right into it. So the first candle that I was really jazzed for is Caramelized Lavender, and that's what that looks like right there. It has that like tufted, quilted look that they've been applying to their like everyday luxuries type of bottle, like that type of feel. It'd been so much juicier if it was a lavender color instead of this gray, but it is what it is. Plain silver lid, and it's $26.95. So yeah, the next floor set is gonna be Fall 3, but Fall 3 now is technically like holiday preview, so most of the stuff is just for new Christmas stuff. And then they have like last remnants of some fall stuff coming in, but most of it's all repackages, and like their last fall phase now isn't really that much juicy in terms of new fall product anymore. And so the only new thing really that was coming on the fall side was this, so I was excited about that. But also excited because there was an old school fragrance called Lavender Caramel, which was before my time. But I know Josh Touch the Fire Twice has talked about it and really enjoyed it. So I kind of wanted to see like how this would compare to what the descriptions of that old lavender caramel fragrance was. Because once again, I never owned that one, so I've never smelled it. But in any case, yes. So fresh lavender, melted caramel, and a hint of vanilla. I had the core wicks on it and white wax. I have actually already burned this yesterday once, so we'll talk about it. So on cold, what you get is a little bit of this like savory herbal lavender fragrance that kind of does evoke what like Josh was saying in his video about people saying it kind of smelled like stovetop stuffing or something like that, where it has like this savory herbal component to it that could be kind of related to like sage stuffing. You get that type of like savory herbal component from the lavender. It's not overly strong. I don't think it's even as strong as it is in like pink lavender espresso or lavender marshmallow, but there is something like a herbal savoriness in here that you would find from some like, you know, kitchen herb dish. So you get that mixed with heaps and heaps of like their salted butterscotch fragrance, or like they've had like a sea salt caramel before. Remember butterscotch toffee? Oh my god, that was snatched. At first I dragged it to pieces because it was really basic on cold, but when you go to burn it, that thing was so strong. I mean, it would get like stuck in your nostrils and your hair and your clothes and everything, and it was just so immensely strong. And by the time I had started to appreciate it, it had already been discontinued, and I was like, darn it, I figured like that one would always come around, but that has been long gone. Like first time it came around, I think it was in that weird like Aztec packaging, weird. But to take that type of like toffee, butterscotch, caramel, that type of fragrance, it's pretty much what most of this is, with a little bit of like a savory herbal lavender. And that is what I get from this. But unfortunately, when you go to burn it, it wasn't super strong, at least on the first burn. But then on top of that, the lavender kind of just like burns off, and you don't really smell too much of it. And it just kind of smelled like a burnt caramel fragrance that wasn't too far off from their usual salted butterscotch fragrance. That I wouldn't mind if this just went way harder on the lavender, but when burning, it kind of got lost, and it just smelled like a burnt caramel fragrance that had something a little bit weird going on with it. So I don't know. I have to reserve judgment until I burn it a little bit more, but at least on the first burn, I wasn't like super jazzed or enthused about it. It just smelled like a burnt caramel fragrance to me, so a little bummed about that. Yeah, I mean, kudos for them doing like herbal gourmand fragrances. Like, I like that we even get that, but yeah, so that was Caramelized Lavender right there. Obviously, in comparison to the suspect ones, we have Pink Lavender and Espresso, which is super related to Lavender Marshmallow, which was like the OG fragrance. This is rich pink lavender, caramel espresso beans, and smooth vanilla. And even the order of the notes in the way they even say the notes are pretty much the same on both of them. And they probably did that because even though it's not the same fragrance, they probably realized how successful this was. So let's emulate that success by putting the same notes in the same order to get people to also get into caramelized lavender. So, any case, yeah. Yeah, this one's just stronger on the lavender. There's that super like creamy marshmallow ooey gooey like juiciness to the lavender as well. And so this is pretty much just lavender marshmallow with an extra sort of robust caramelized brown sugar espresso bean component. And it's not overly coffee, but there's something a little bit more roasty and gourmand and robust going on in the background that makes it a little bit warmer than just lavender marshmallow by itself, which is the same lavender, the same like sweet creaminess to it, but with none of like the warmer caramel espresso bean notes that you got from Pink Lavender and Espresso. So yeah, I mean these aren't so like immensely strong on that like salted butterscotch caramel fragrance, and more so like lavender marshmallow focus, that it is not these two fragrances. It kind of reminds me of a similar concept, not at all the same fragrance, of like sweet rosemary vanilla, where we got like cinnamon sugar donuts, like cinnamon spice vanilla, but with an added herbal note that came off as like rosemary, almost like a lemony feel to it. It kind of reminds me of that type of concept where they take an existing gourmand fragrance and shove like almost like a savory herbal note in it. It gives me the same concept as that, so I just wanted to call that out. But sweet rosemary vanilla right there. So yeah, and so that was Caramelized Lavender. Yeah, it kind of exists. We'll just have to get into a little bit more to see if it gets any better. Yeah. Okay, moving on. We have Cookie Butter Truffle right here, and that's what that looks like. And it has like the wreath lid on it. So this one, it was like a latecomer to the holiday preview at the test store. So when I went to Columbus, I could not get that one yet. So I was like, let me see if I can get it at this store. And so we have cookie butter, whipped cream, and vanilla extract, $24.95. I think this also had a Coral Wix white wax, so you can see it right there. And this used to be, I think, a hand soap in a PocketBac or something like this in previous years, and we finally have it in candle form. And yeah, so on cold, oh my god, I mean, just super generic and super underwhelming. It just literally smells like another dime a dozen like cookie type of fragrance, like a shortbread type of fragrance. Like, girl, if this was at Big Lots, like, leave it on the shelf. I don't even need to like smell it twice. But because it's at Bath and Body Works and it's new, and they put a juicy name like Cookie Butter Truffle, which like, I don't even know what that is. I can't say I've ever had cookie butter, and I certainly haven't had a cookie butter truffle as well, so I can't even speak to what this is like supposed to smell like. But so it's like not as dense and buttery as Mary Cookie, but it's like not as like cinnamon spice as like sugar snickerdoodle. It kind of like falls in line with like Danbury shortbread, but a little less rich and robust. But as you remember, Danbury shortbread was also super underwhelming and generic on cold, but really came alive. And so I did burn this one yesterday, and it's slightly better burning than it is on cold. On cold, it was super generic and boring, and it kind of reminds me of like a Danbury shortbread adjacent fragrance. But it was just kind of there. It was just all right, kind of one and done. I mean, if it wasn't just for the name and the, you know, the newness of it all, like, just, yeah, it exists. Cookie Butter Truffle right there. Okay, moving on. The sales associate was saying that this is out, but she thinks it's only out in a single wick and not a 3-wick, and I have rewards because I'm always in Bath and Body Works. So I redeemed it on a chocolate covered orange right here, and that's what that looks like. Has like a snow globe on it, and that font like just reminds me, it's like almost like medieval looking. It reminds me of like if you've ever played the video game Diablo. It just like that font makes me want to like turn on my PC and like play that game and enter that like hellscape environment of Diablo. And yeah, and it has like this like wreath ribbon lid on it right there. $16.95. Juicy orange slices, creamy milk chocolate, and sweet sugar crystals. And yeah, this is insanely similar to the previous orange chocolate truffle that we've had before, and that's what that looks like. And I think I got a few of these in test, and I got one in the like wide release, but I think the ones in test like really didn't burn very well, and like they wouldn't pull out properly like the longer I kept them, so it was just one of those candles that didn't burn very well. Orange zest, sea salt, and rich dark chocolate. Incredibly similar. Like, wow. And if there are any differences, like, is it a generational year change? Because, like, this is just, like, old and aged. Or is it an intentional change? And this really, honestly, hasn't tarnished at all. It doesn't smell burnt or anything, probably because the burn on this was so low and weak that it never really got scorched. That this smells actually quite pure. I mean, splitting hairs, but if I had to be really nitpicky, I would say this one, the chocolate, is a little bit more like hot cocoa and cream, sort of powdery, dry texture to it. Whereas the chocolate in this is a little bit more creamy and smooth in the way that you would expect like hard chocolate, like candy, you know, like the outer coating of like chocolate desserts or treats or whatever. It has like the smoothness of like milk chocolate or dark chocolate candy, whereas this one's more hot cocoa powder packet texture. But very similar orange and everything. I mean, really splitting hairs. But I think if you liked this version, you'll probably enjoy this. It's like, really, how many ways can you do a chocolate covered orange? But what does this smell like? It literally smells like a chocolate covered orange. You get that same kind of orange fragrance in there. It's candied and sweet. and then you mix like a hot cocoa and cream type of chocolate component. It smells nice and pleasant. Kind of weird that it's only out supposedly in a single wick. Like if this was out in a 3-wick, I would most certainly get it again. But we'll see how this does. So that was chocolate covered orange right there. Moving on, I wanted to see if they had the platinum 3-wick. They only have the single wick, but I don't want to redeem my reward on that, knowing that there's a 3-wick coming down the line. So I did, however, get the body wash right here, and that's what that looks like. I'm assuming this is the new holiday single fragrance launch. And I kind of like collect all the single fragrance launch shower gels and candles for the most part. Sparkling bergamot, silver blooms, and patchouli musk. Yeah, I used this last night in the shower. And it just smells like yet another Bath & Body Works holiday single fragrance launch. It kind of just smells like, it has that sort of like generic department store perfume fragrance that you get a lot from Bath & Body Works during the holiday time. Like not too far off from like something like Luminous. Actually quite similar. I would say even like kind of Dream Bright Into the Night-ish. It just, they all share that same like sort of slightly mature department store perfume quality to it. Yeah. This one's the most like cleanest and soapiest. There's like a distinct clean, soapy, fresh quality mixed with the same sort of undertones of that mature like department store perfumeness. Take it or leave it. It exists. Platinum right there. Moving on, let's see, it was 40% off. That's actually a really good time to get PocketBacs, and so I just wanted one, and so I got Vanilla Romance because I actually kind of really dig this fragrance. Yeah, it's fine. It's like a medium, I guess, throw on your hands. It just smelled like Vanilla Romance, so that was good, so that was cool. Let's see, the week before that, I think I was on the hunt for the last Latin Heritage Collection candles. So if you recall, I've already hauled the other ones a long time ago, but we had brown sugar coconut right here. Kind of smells like a coconut macaroon, but still not exactly the coconut macaroon that we've had before. But if you're looking for a fragrance similar to coconut macaroon, this is certainly it. It's just that usual toasted coconut gourmand fragrance that we get from Bath & Body Works. So this is like your gourmand slot in terms of like your fragrance mapping. They also give us like a fruity, sweet, juicy fragrance. And so we had mango passion fruit right there. Kind of juicy and nice, realistic and sweet. You get like this passion fruit juice, passion fruit nectar type of fragrance to it that I actually really enjoy. It's one of my more like favorable tropical fruit fragrances from them that doesn't go as nasty and synthetic as pineapple mango or aloha kiwi passion fruit. So we're good to go there. So that was that. If you wanted more of that sort of like woodsy men's fragrance, then you had Rainforest Jungle, and that's what that looks like right there. This one was nice because on cold, you got that sort of like damp soil and jungle foliage fragrance, but unfortunately when you go to burn, it goes a lot more into like the flannel category of just like another men's cologne fragrance, so kind of take it or leave it. And then that leaves us with like the floral slot, and then so that was the one I was most excited for. So we have Festival de Las Flores right here, and that's what that looks like right there. Cute color match lid, so I enjoyed that. It says Parade of Flowers, Fresh Blooms in Creamy Tonka Bean. I've already burned this one twice. They grew up like wicks, white wax, as you can see right there. And yeah, so the note, just they really don't give you anything to work with. Like what are Parade of Flowers and Fresh Blooms supposed to indicate? But from my nose, I get a fragrance that's actually quite similar to the Bridgerton Wisteria Garden. It has a similar, like, juicy, grapey plum action of, like, wisteria, almost like that purple quality to it. But it gives me a lot of, like, that Wisteria Garden fragrance mixed with something a little bit more heady in a white floral type of way, chilling in the background, that if I had to guess, I would say maybe like tuberose or like a night blooming jasmine. So not so much like the jasmine they use in their body care that doesn't quite smell like a realistic like blooming jasmine on the vine, but more so like a realistic jasmine or a tuberose in that white heady floral type of way. If you recall, like Night Blooming Jasmine from Yankee Candle, a similar feel to that. We had White Jasmine from Bath & Body Works in the past as well, which was kind of similar to like an orange blossom fragrance, so I also enjoyed that. Kind of like that White Jasmine, Night Blooming Jasmine type of like realistic heady white floral, maybe even a little bit of like a tuberose, and then heaps of that like Wisteria Garden candle is what I get in here. And under any normal circumstance, I would actually really enjoy this fragrance, but kind of seasonally inappropriate. Like these are all very spring summery, and we've just actually officially entered fall. So a little bit off on the timing to be burning these. we're actually getting into holiday, right? Like the next floor set is actually holiday Christmas stuff. So kind of weird. The timing is strange on it, but then B, I did already burn this one twice. And for something that should be a heavy hitting floral fragrance, it was actually quite light. Like I could barely smell it in the 2 burns that I had it going. So kind of womp on that. So I don't know. That was that right there. But that concludes the Latin Heritage Month collection. So there was that. And then lastly, the only thing I want to talk about was, was it last weekend? There was the lowest price of the season Wallflower sale, and I wanted to get 2 out of the 3 Wallflower exclusive fragrances, so the 2 that weren't football season. And I really actually don't even use Wallflowers that much anymore, but because they were Wallflower exclusive, as a fragrance nerd, I just really wanted to study the fragrance and see how it did. So I just put it in my scent intensity Wallflower and just let it blast in my like office room for like 24 or 48 hours because I really don't want that going a really long time. And I just let it rip there for a little bit just so I can study and analyze the fragrance and then unplug it and call it a day. And so that's what we did there. So the one I was really intrigued for was Hometown Festival right here, and that's what that looks like. And I don't know, the naming and the concept is just super cute, right? And it even has like this fun narrative that says, gather together to celebrate fall with your favorite festival treats like caramel apples and fresh kettle corn. And I was like, ooh, that kind of sounds like it would be like summer boardwalk, right? And then so I plugged it in, and boy, was I in for a surprise. There is something strangely perfumey and edible and inedible about this that I don't understand what business like a perfumey note has going underneath. And I was like, maybe was there like whatever Wallflower I was using in my plug-in prior to this, was there like residual fragrance oil left over on that was like mixing with this? But I plugged in pumpkin chai, which I will haul next, and that has no weird perfuminess. And when I smell the wick on this, there most certainly is like this weird like dream bright perfumey like floral inedible component chilling underneath the other notes. And it's just really weird. I don't know if it's because we're in the era of like gourmand fine fragrance, and so we're getting a lot of trickle down from fine fragrance into home fragrance, and because there is such a push for gourmand fine fragrance, and because if you have a gourmand fine fragrance and like perfume, there usually is a like perfumey undertone to those, and then so when they transfer it into home fragrance, maybe that's why we're seeing these inedible gourmands so much. Because like if you recall, My Sweet Sisters was like a chocolate fragrance that had like an inedible perfuminess to it. We also had cocoa roasted chestnuts, which just seemed totally like mismarketed in terms of the name, and I eventually grew to enjoy those once you realize they weren't a full-blown gourmand fragrance. But to have notes of just full-blown caramel apples and fresh kettle corn and it still smell like perfumey is kind of weird. Like, am I the only one who smells this? I don't know, it's weird. But in any case, aside from the weird perfuminess that I've been just ranting up on for the past few minutes, you do get a sweet kettle corn, popcorn type of fragrance mixed with like a caramel apple, but it's nowhere near as gourmand and heavy and crunchy as like Summer Boardwalk is. It's like, I don't know, a weird inedible interpretation of it, which I guess when they name it as like a time or a place, then that's open to interpretation. So like this is called Hometown Festival, which is like a place or an event rather than just caramel apple popcorn. You know what I'm saying? So maybe because it's supposed to evoke a time or a place, they're more open to interpretation of it being slightly perfumey. I don't know, but Hometown Festival right there, super weird. But I might still like grow to enjoy that once I get past the initial disconnect of the expectation versus reality. And then lastly, we had pumpkin chai here as well. And you guys know I love me a good chai fragrance. Friggin' autumn chai I really enjoy. Vanilla chai from Yankee Candle is like the superior chai fragrance, but it comes from unscented Yankee Candle, so not much use there. So I wanted to see what this chai fragrance would be. And the notes on this read, spiced chai tea, pump of sweet pumpkin, and vanilla cold foam. And so, as you may or may not know, there is a Nest pumpkin chai fragrance, which I've bought before and used. And what's kind of odd about Nest pumpkin chai is that it literally smells just like pumpkin carving, pumpkin patch, heirloom pumpkin from BBW, which originated as a Slatkin fragrance. And so the two, I've burned both of them and owned them, and they smell so incredibly similar. And so I was like, well, there's the Nest pumpkin chai, and there's also pumpkin patch, pumpkin carving from Bath and Body Works. Like, how is this one gonna like slot into all of that? And so I plugged it in, and it's actually going in my office right now. I don't, it's just another like generic pumpkin spice fragrance. It's not terrible, it's not bad. There's a spiciness to it. It's not too far off from your sweet cinnamon pumpkins and pumpkin clove and pumpkin nut butter and all that kind of stuff. It's just yet another one of those traditional pumpkin pie spice type of fragrances is what you get in it. I can't say I really get anything like overly exotic in like a distinguishable chai note. I mean, there's a spiciness there for sure, but like, because a lot of pumpkin spice fragrances are spicy, I don't know if I could ever like go and say that this smells just like a pumpkin chai in a distinct way, that it's like so different or coveted from your other millions of other pumpkin spice fragrances. So it's not bad, but I guess sometimes you just want another new, slightly different, basic ass pumpkin spice fragrance for the fall time. And if they're trying to cater to the people who want those type of just basic pumpkin spice fragrances, this accomplishes the goal. And hello, it got me to buy it with the new name and everything. So that's that right there. So pumpkin chai right there. And I think that is it. Woo! Thank you so much if you watched this whole video, and I will talk to you guys later. And that's it. Yeah, bye.